Hello again, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Chats with Jack. I am Jack Talcott. It is Saturday afternoon, and I want to spend a little time together with the freedom from worry. That's the topic for today. I've had a inspiring morning. Started out with a men's group, small men's group from one of the local churches, and the topic today was masculinity. How masculinity has been misunderstood, and it's got a lot of different attributes to it, and it's been misunderstood by many. But the topic we discussed was how masculinity and leadership kind of tie together. And in the Bible, in the scripture, in those stories, there are plenty of examples of noble, honorable leaders, and there's also plenty of examples of questionable and corrupted leaders. It's the part of humanity that is. There is the inspiring, loving side. There is the destructive, controlling side. There's like a constant battle. That is. And we're a part of that. It's a ballad. It's a battle. It's a dance. It's a whatever. It's a meeting of the chaos and the order. And every moment, chaos and order, it's all there. And it's all there to be perceived and for us to become aware of. I'm not sure if that part's making sense, but hey, some of the inspirations I had today, and actually one of the topics we discussed was masculine malaise, male malaise. And so malaise, a general feeling of discomfort, illness, or uneasiness whose exact cause is difficult to identify. A general air of malaise. And, I think that is an accurate description. I mean, this concept came from the conversations earlier. But the male malaise, the masculine malaise that has been conditioned throughout our society, men must suffer in order to be worthy. See, there's all these partial truths that have been, focused on without bringing in the context of the bigger picture. So, holy cows. I love you guys. I seriously love you guys in the chat. Hey, True Seeker, these are wise words. Paul's better wisen up or Jack will leave him in the dust. There's a whopping 7 in here right now, man. But you know what? This is undiscovered. And if you find it boring, please, unknown, feel free. Find more productive use of your day. I'm sure you've got value within you that may be available to be shared. But, oh, man, we can keep watching the numbers. EBT, mayonnaise on your mind. I don't know where mayonnaise came from. Where I was going was male malaise. Holy cow. See, you are sometimes, EBT, sometimes your mind, you like drop some quick ones, and I'm a little slow to catching where you're going. Thank you. The mayonnaise of being a man. Male malaise, the feeling of a discomfort. You know, humans, each of us, we've been brainwashed, guys. Seriously. And I mentioned this yesterday. I tried getting into that topic that we've got to accept the fact that people we've loved, people we've admired, have told us wrong. That there was misinformation made available to us or whatever. We got to figure out where we have deceived ourselves, individually and collectively. Because until we start accepting the fact that we've been deceived, we're not going to be really paying attention. We're going to keep going on with these assumptions and false conclusions. So besides the male malaise as well, you know, even in the religions, maybe particularly in the religions, there's been this separation created and forced regarding the genders. And many of my conversations have been leading me into Christian discussions. And, you know, there's a lot of people who take on that Old Testament patriarchal ideas. And where I'm going with that is this current society with the economic structures and the conditions of obedience that are created, men are conditioned to normalize, to deny our feelings, and to go through the day with a normal unease, an unease of anxiety and the worry of responsibility. It's been normalized for men to live that way. But then in the back of the mind, you know, women are a lesser being. So if a man is unhappy, we got to make sure the women are unhappy as well. I think that kind of describes my household to my childhood home to a certain degree. Instead of chats with Jack, you get commercials with Jack. I'm not advertising anything, man. I was actually thinking about this last night. What is it I'm doing? What is it I'm offering here? Well, my purpose and my own focus has been, I've experienced the benefits of self-development, okay? The inner work and how freeing and how fulfilling that can be. It is a transformative process that I've experienced. You know, so I'm trying to explain the transformation that's available for pretty much everybody. And so what I know is as people start improving, as that wheel starts turning towards change, towards improvement and intentional gain, as that starts to turn, the wheels, the inspiration starts flowing. And with more inspiration, people will feel more hope. That's a long-winded way of trying to explain. I'm trying to offer people hope. There's many in the self-development, the coaching fields, in these religious fields, all these other fields, right? And they're charging money for knowledge, for support, for perspective, for patterns of thought and thinking that have proven to work for each other. That's what self-development is in this life coaching field. So I'm on here. I used to try and, you know, I tried fitting into the ways of the world to create an economic, you know, income for myself. And I tried selling it. I tried the tactics I learned for marketing and sales. And I tried selling better lives and selling hope. Holy cows, man, I can't even give that shit away. I can't seem to give hope away to people or faith. Hey, welcome, Paul. How you doing today, brother?
Jack, I see that you're monetized now. You went out and got a new shirt. Antoine's coaching you. You got a new format. And I just want to be the first one to say that this broadcast absolutely sucks. You're fucking boring today. You got no fucking energy behind you. You're befuddled. You're confused. What say you?
Thank you for your input. It's not new shirts. I mentioned this yesterday. I received the blessing of discovering things I'd forgotten. I had a big bag of nice dress shirts that I never had money to go get cleaned, and I didn't want to do it myself. So I remembered I had clothing and I remembered I had money. So I just went and picked up some freshly laundered shirts. So I got a new appearance. As for working with Anton, nothing official, nothing agreed upon.
Did you join his bag chasing Patreon?
Yeah, I signed up for his Patreon.
How much does that go for?
I got there was limited options, and I think it was.
You got the BBC package?
Yeah. I don't remember that being included, but it's like it's not cheap. It's like $16, $17, something like that.
What, a month?
Yeah.
Fuck, man. That's why Antoine's spending summary is like out of control. He's got like thousands of slaves on 16 a month.
Paul,
this fucking guy and if you're gonna pimp, man, pimp hard. I respect it.
You got to give him. He knows business, and he's found a way to make revenues from what he does.
There's an ass for every seat, Talcott. Isn't that what Barnum and Bailey said? There's an ass for every seat.
Hey, there is.
So what do you get for that 16, 17 a month that you don't get with me, right? Other than the ability to say you're talking to someone who's more successful and famous than you, which still applies to me, really, if you think about it.
It does. There is insider information. He shares some. I haven't spent a lot of time exploring what I've received.
Insider trading. That's definitely a felony, I'm pretty sure. Go ahead. Anything else he's doing?
As I understand, he does allow himself to become more available to those who are supporting him, which makes sense. And that's why I decided make an investment in what he's already got out there and available. And if it helps, it helps. If it doesn't help, it's a small expense.
Right. Well, that's nice of Antoine to make himself more available for the minimum and small price, one-time payment of recurring payment of $16.95 per month.
Yeah. Wait.
That's a pretty good deal. It cost me $30 to get one of the stripper hoes to dance on me for a half hour at the club. So it's like half price
for an hour.
I go to one of those really like low standard hole in the walls where the women have bullet holes and knife scars.
Oh my God. Yes. Tuesday afternoon at the strip club. You ever done something like that? That's an interesting experience.
Right. And we played Guess That Scar. Is that a cesarean or were you in a knife fight with Latin Kings?
Yep. Oh, I remember those days. Holy cows, man.
You're disgusting. I'm making all this up, Talcott, and this is actually true for you. See, this is what I mean. Never trust these guys with the button-down shirts who say they're professionals.
Well, I remember there was a strip club not far from Fort Lewis, and I remember going and having lunch there one time, and it's the food I would not recommend, and daytime strippers are doesn't really help with the appetite.
Two things you don't eat at a strip club, huh, Talcott? The food and pussy.
Right.
Because you never know what you're going to get, right?
That is true. But you know what? Hey, I actually had a pretty inspiring day today.
You got out of bed?
Well, consider that's part of it. Yeah. Although, you know what? I've been half-heartedly setting my alarm to get up early enough to see Z. And this morning, it's like the alarm went off. I was like, fuck that. I just no interest in coming back to the world today.
Yeah, your life is really fucked up if you're setting alarms to watch that monstrosity.
I know.
Am I right, Talcott? Like one of the most boring fucking broadcasts on here. And the guy's a great guy. I mean, great guy, a lot of talent and potential, but horrible broadcast host and format.
Well, I actually enjoy. There's like a big difference between the way you two work, but there's something to be said about the distinctions. You each bring something different. I think many others too would love to see more of you guys co-creating, but
yeah, you're definitely onto something. We bring something way different. Like I'm interesting, entertaining, funny. He's none of those things on that broadcast that I've seen. So yeah, I mean, he could bring a little bit more of whatever it is he's doing over to me and maybe add something.
Right. Well, and the good thing too, this is the concept I'm really focused on. Allow people, encourage them to take from your inspirations that you're offering, because as they improve, even if they're copying you clumsily or poorly, as they improve, it helps the world, man. We've all got to figure out how to do. I don't know. What do we have to do? I don't think we have to do
Submit
much.
to the process, Talcott. You know, there's always a process going on. You got to just know when it's happening and surrender to it and become part of it if you can. So, you know, that's why I think I get the best out of everyone, because when we're in this zone and I'm, you know, pushing buttons and throwing stuff out, people are in that flow and I get the best out of them because they're not in their head. You know, they're in their heart space. They just speak from the heart. They flow. And that's the good shit, one way or the other, whether it's the real shit that's poignant, that make you feel something, or whether it's the controversy, right, that entertains people and gets people thinking and questioning. So that's the style, right? Again, it's pure conscious awareness, flow state, and awareness of social and power dynamics and informational systems dynamics, and letting it all come together, you know. And this is what I'm saying. We have to learn how to language out what's happening so we can find purpose and meaning in the nonsense, if that makes sense.
Find purpose and meaning in the nonsense. Yes.
And what seems to be nonsense, right? Like oftentimes I realize you think like me. You come on here and go, what is all this crap? And then one way or another, we get caught up into it and we become part of the conversation. So we always play this game, right? Where there's nothing going on here. There's more important stuff to do. And it's like, okay, how are you going to get people focused on that? There has to be a way.
Yes. And that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is the way? What is the way to get people to recognize more is available? Not more fear, not more hate, but more life. This was the thought I had earlier, Paul. The unknown is revealed in silence. I've been really trying to focus on silence and nothingness, because words cause our confusion. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, but you have to be careful about that, right? That's firsthand experience. Report back could be troubling, you know, and could set us off course. Words seem to reveal confusion, whether it's in confusion of the user or confusion of the receiver. They don't cause confusion, right? Now, when words are used properly to communicate meaning objectively, words dispel confusion. That is where we get understanding, true connection, true love. It comes through communication and understanding. So just like a gun, you know, a gun or words can create chaos or reveal chaos and confusion. It can also dispel that and create order and understanding if used properly. It's just a tool. You know, the perspective of the wielder is what's most important. The accuracy of the comprehension of the wielder.
Amen. Well, and the accuracy and competency of the wielder. I was thinking about this. Words are tools. They're instruments. right? They yield power, especially with those who know how to use them. There's people who clumsily use their words and they get the job done. But just like any tool, any tool can be a weapon and a toy, right? Take firearms, for example. I mean, perfect example. They're fun to shoot. It's a toy, especially if you know what you're doing with it, man. I've been learning the power of words, and beyond the power of words, though, it's the power of silence that carries us. And what you were saying, the words do, they both bring confusion and relieve confusion. And so this is where my thought was taking me. I know for a fact the sign of insanity that I was suffering, the most clear sign of insanity, is this fucking monkey mind, the one that won't shut up. Right. And so in thinking about that, it's the monkey mind that's repeating the information we already know. It's not receiving new information. It's mostly processing memories and imagining memories. But when we shut up, when we find a way to be still, then it's like the activity of thoughts, it's like a show in our mind. And so when the show stops, we can do two things. We can see the show, the information from a different perspective, but also new thoughts can come in, and they start out just like a slight sensation, and then they develop into a feeling. And then until you get those words around them, though, man, I hope that makes sense. I've been trying to.
Yeah, you're onto it. You're onto it as far as I perceive the one aspect, which is, practicing mindfulness and then mindlessness, and being thoughtful when it's appropriate and thoughtless to experience the peace and serenity. So yes, you have to almost become silent and settle your inner space. And this is why I go to the feeler space, because we're going to have to take this. What we're talking about here is usually done in seclusion and then brought back to the world. So you have to have the thoughtless space. You're not generating a bunch of thoughts, and you have to have the neutral feeling space, because if not, we're going to get triggered. We're going to start then, when we get a feeling, going back to a narrative in order to feel safe. And this is what I experience with everyone all day. And this is when I get critical of you and my father. I'm not trying to demean you and disrespect you. I'm trying to make you aware that in that moment, something is happening in your feeling space. It's triggering a thought, and we can't communicate as good as we could if we were just in that space of clarity and serenity. But first, we have to take accountability. And this is why I always go back to that. What I found in my life, can't speak for anyone else, you can't fully reach that space like they tell you in NA till you've taken account. I did this wrong. I didn't do enough there, right? This happened. I have to make amends within myself and with those people, and then surrender and let go. Now I can access a true peace and forgiveness and surrender. Now I can form my thoughts and emotions properly. Now I can enter a space of thoughtlessness and emotional neutrality to meet life on life's terms, unless I'm deciding to share an experience, right? We never want to become that experience, though, from my perspective. I'll share love, time, energy, attention, and emotional space, energy and motion, but I won't become that, because that's how I get tricked out of position, whether it be the romantic love or whether it be the anger and the hate that causes me to do things I regret, that are short game ideas, not fit for a long game experience. If that makes sense, right? So just remember, anytime I'm doing that, I'm turning the heat up. I'm squeezing the orange. This is your guy. What's his name? Wayne Dyer, right? Mm-hmm. Right out of that school, right? I've looked at all his stuff. I looked at everyone's stuff, and I'll give it to you the way he'll give it to you. You squeeze an orange juice comes out. Don't tell me about everything else that happens outside of you. Whatever's coming out is what was in there. It came out for a reason, for you to look at it and reconcile it. So stop pointing at everyone else and what's generating that response. Focus on the response, get to the root of it, neutralize it so that you don't give your power away anymore, right? Because if someone could say something and trigger a feeling from you, they own your inner space. You can't do a broadcast the way I do it. That's one of the keys. If every time they squeeze you, the juice comes out, right?
I agree and understand what you've been saying. You have given me plenty of opportunities, plenty of pressing and pressure to try and, to learn and improve. You were saying something though, something I've been thinking about too. Words, they're fucking powerful. They are such a blessing, and the gift of words, they yield power, but we must rise above the power of words, right? It's what you're talking about. You bring your words forth and then I get a reaction. Well, I need to be able to control myself beyond what words are there. And that's something I've been working on. But with this morning, I don't know what you heard. I went to a men's group this morning. They were talking about male malaise and and masculinity and leadership. Those were the topics, right?
That's a hot topic for everybody nowadays because we're all becoming aware. Everybody thinks they're their own being. The universe is like, it's the alarm is on now, right? And the agenda is there. You woke up now and the agenda is there and you're not going to deviate from it. If you deviate from it, you're going to lose everything. People, places, and things. Whatever the fuck you desire, what you like and love and enjoy, you're going to lose all of it, right? I'm not down on Talcott about his family and all that. I know that's part of the walk. I want to take it to the next level where it all comes back and then some. And I believe in my ego, crazy as I am, that I can facilitate that. But in my perspective, it's going to take certain alignment. Once that happens, we're off and running, you know?
Hey.
So, yeah, I mean, that's how I see it is masculinity, leadership, malaise. It's all I talk about all day, every day, pretty much. That's all I'm trying to inspire people out of or into, right? True masculinity, true leadership, true accountability, and responsibility. Because you can't be a leader if you can't respond when the time comes to what's presented. You know?
Hey, what do you think about this act that men can do? I'm not saying we all do it, but I know I used to. We carry this responsibility because society says the man has to be responsible and be accountable and all this. So we carry a lot of weight of responsibility on us. And especially those men who do rise to lead, who don't want to put up with bullshit, they do rise into positions of influence. So it's real easy for a man to carry home the burdens and carry around the burdens of work or the society. When we do that, we feel defensive, right? Because we've got to be strong, we've got to be prepared. Well, in a defensive state, we can actually create an isolation for ourselves. And it's counterintuitive, but I honestly think if men were more open about the worries and the burdens that they're carrying emotionally, mentally, others around would understand. And you know, communication in relationships is the greatest thing. But the pretend, what do you think about that, Paul? That people carry around stuff and use it as an excuse?
Oh, I do agree that, you know, it's a fine line again between the material world and while we're here, either being aware of an inherent purpose and meaning or creating an objective purpose and meaning to live by in order to set a standard and generate a result versus being pure conscious and awareness separate from a body and everything attached to this body really being meaningless at the end of the day. Right. So again, we're walking a fine line between being a spirit entity, having a human experience, and being in two worlds. Are we going to be aware of our spiritual consciousness, rooted nature and do nothing in the world? Or are we going to use that spiritual nature to become aware of what seems to be an inherent or objective understanding and do and create something in the world simply because it feels better than not? It's not about carrying a burden. It's about it feels better to me to generate a positive response and be a leader and be looked at as a leader. Like, are we going to bullshit ourselves and each other? They say, he likes attention. Who doesn't like attention? The question is it attention from the right people for the right reasons? I don't want attention from low-life scumbags for being a low-life scumbag. I want attention from other leaders in the community for someone saying, Paulie boy is respectable and honorable. He lives by principles. That's objectively a better experience than being alienated and exiled and having no self-worth and self-respect. But again, you're going to have to do and be to get that. I'm not looking for that overnight through some kind of shortcut. And because I haven't looked for it that way, I got it a different way. And that's why I won't call it pride, a certain level of esteem for myself and the way that I live, because I've set a standard for myself, at least in certain areas and others. And I think that's necessary. That is leadership. Leadership and high morale is setting a standard. You know that, Talcott, in the military. There's a toxic masculine side to it, obviously, that they employ. But there is a core idea of, in order to be a leader, you have to be disciplined and willful and principled and faithful, right? Semper fidelis. So again, most of the folks who are in these institutions don't even embody this truly. They just talk about it, but it's a core principle they're supposed to be living by.
Paul, you hit on a whole bunch of things there. That fine line exactly regarding the spirit and the material. There is a fine line. I've been trying to figure it out for myself, but we're all on our own path. Between the spirit of detachment, right? Detaching from the world, becoming just the one of it all. And then also living as a being, right? Becoming intentional and purposeful and committed to what you're doing. So
that's the paradox, right? Every time I come across a paradox, I know that it will be resolved if I find the understanding. This is where the confusion happens with everyone. They get into these deep levels of thought and follow the thread, and they go, this seems like paradox here, right? All paradoxes must be resolved. Do you have the perspective and understanding and third-party objective cosmic view to see how to resolve that paradox? When you do, it all comes together and you enter back into that flow state, and things just start to happen for you instead of happen to you, right?
Amen. It takes, within the mind, it takes a switch and the willingness to believe what you just said, that it's happening for me. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. Because when we can receive the moments and everything this life can bring, when we can receive it as though it's for us. This was a thought I had earlier today too, Paul. The difference between gratitude and pride, right? Pride is a downfall, but you can switch that to gratitude and you can be grateful for what you are, who you are, what you've overcome. You don't have to be arrogant and prideful about it, but
that's confident, right? But you have to be able to back that up. See, ego is when we got this false strength and we can't back it up. And that's what most people, are living through. This, I'm going to present false strength. I'm going to stand my position. I'm going to get defensive and get controlling, but I don't have the results to back it up. And this is why I go to results with you. Because I say, in order for us as a being to genuinely have confidence, where we could put a blindfold on, talk to anybody, and really have that energy behind it, not arrogance, confidence. You have to have something that you could look to and really feel to put that forth in that way. And that's going to be where you get your action with people, is they got to feel it from you. In order to feel it from you, you got to be confident. In order to be confident, you have to have generated a result enough times to know who and what you are and what the fuck you can do. I don't care if it's making love, riding a bike, whatever it is, right?
You've got to have faith and confidence, and exactly in yourself. But here's something I learned too. we are individually, we can easily become very, very critical of ourselves, holding ourselves to standards that are really fucking impossible sometimes. But when we're realistic with ourselves, we can remember things similar, right? So myself, I've got big goals of, I've said it. I hope to eventually fill coliseums, and I want to speak to people of influence and authority. I want to change the world. The largest crowds I've actually spoken at is pretty small. I mean, when I did speak at a convention, 3,000 people, but I was nervous as hell back then. I don't know what would happen now. I'm ready.
But you have to remain aware, Jack, because you know as well as I do, purpose and meaning moves right into ego so subtly, because you know that in my life, whether I speak to 100 people live, 1.4 thousand after, these are small crowds in comparison to a lot around me. But to change the world, you got to change the people in the world. And if I'm even doing that one at a time, I'm already changing the world, you see? So you can't cross over your ability to change the world and your ability to speak to large crowds, because not everybody's path is necessarily meant to be speaking to large crowds, but rather the right crowds. See what I'm saying? The Christed being wouldn't have sat there and said, I want to speak to a 60,000 Coliseum. They might all be slaves. He's going to say, I want to speak to the right crowd of people who are ready to receive a message that's going to change them and change this world. So it might not be a big venue, but it'll be the right venue for you on your walk. You see?
Well, that's exactly what I'm counting on, Paul, and where I'm at today. Or confidence can also come from faith in a higher power. Hey, we've got someone I've confirmed the identity of with an inappropriate, well, I don't know what the picture is, and a StreamYard title of Mrs. Talcott.
Oh, no. Here we go.
In Wizard's past senility, I don't know if he can be trusted on my platform.
Well, I'm restreaming, and I have a fairly good idea that he won't do anything to threaten either of our channels. If so, then ask him to maybe, what's the picture? He's got some kind of inappropriate imagery now. Oh yeah, that's not Wizard Creature. I'm gonna ask you to change that imagery if possible. I don't think that's a violation of anything, but it's rather crude for this venue.
Just it's
yeah, the man is suffering, Talcott. This is what you have to remember. This man is deeply disturbed and he's suffering. Okay, so try to find some empathy as much as you can muster for this wizard creature.
I care.
Come on, wizard creature.
You got to be a shithead, and sometimes you just got to realize that shithead is really actually comedy. Because if it really meant anything, Jack, you would truly be hurt, right? Are you really hurt, Jack? Do I really hurt you?
You just sadden my heart, because I know you're so much better than you've shown yourself to me to be.
And vice versa. Jack, I know you can get off your ass and do something. I know it. Fucking crying out loud, dude. You walked a poster off for 20 years or some shit like that, right? Not necessarily. You were in the executive branch. And so, well, you were president of the labor union?
That was just a second job.
Okay.
That was
well, the point is, back to the topic. We both know we can do better than the way we behave towards each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Paul and I have acted cohesively together because we're of the same thought. So I'm going to put forth my apologies for treating you different than Paul. Because that's truly the only thing I really did was I treated you differently than Paul because of my own views of the message that you bring. Okay? The message that you bring is comprehensible to a lot of people, but it's got a fallacy. The main fallacy of the nature of law is everything's got to have a balance. So if you see the world as evil and you really want to have that balance, that goodness, you have to bring that goodness, right? Can you force the balance the other way by telling the other part of the balance that it can't exist?
Hey, Wizard.
No, you can't. But please, I'm sorry, Paul. It took me a minute to try and wrap my head around what he was saying. But Wizard, that's what you've been doing with me. You're not seeing the good in Wizard. From my experience, you have not been willing to accept and to see the good in me as much as you focus on what you find to be problems. Now,
exactly.
Hey,
and I agree. I just said that.
Hey, Wizard, Keith, let's consider this, please. Okay. I was observing my life earlier, and I have the confidence. Do I have the results? Do I have other people standing with me offering testimony about the value I can offer? Nope, I sure don't.
And neither do I, and neither does Paul. That's the one.
Oh, I absolutely have that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, right. I mean, you have support of. Yeah,
I don't know what you're saying.
The
man is Alzheimer's, Talcott, and you were on it again. No, he's here now making claims about what he doesn't have that I have.
And explain that after you come in and say that there's something different, and there is, because the difference between you and Jack and me and Jack is that there are things that we have done that prove it. That's the other witness. It's not that we have somebody else that will say, yeah, that's what he means, or he said that or that. No, it's our actions that show us to be different.
Hey, Wizard, can I offer an opinion here? You have a habit of, like, you see me and Jack kind of building. I'm like, even maybe, dare I say, helping him in a way, and maybe bringing a new perspective or reminding him of something he may already know. And you got to come barging in here to outshine the master as you see it, which is your daddy, Paulie boy. You got to start making it all about you and him. You just, and then it's right back to, I'm pretty sure, did you just bring up something else that had nothing to do with any of that as well? You come in with number one, you go to number two, and you wind up number three.
No, if that's what you think, then I'll go ahead and leave. But
don't leave now. You're here now. I can't do that. And then you come up here with skid marks as well. I mean, what's the deal with that? You come offering an apology to Jack, and then you got skid marks all over your head.
Yeah, and then I'm the one that told him that I'm the shithead, and implying that the shit is on my head, right? Okay, yes. I'm the shithead. I agreed to that, right?
Right.
But okay, you suppose that's the reason behind it? You suppose I came in here with a bit non-bit?
I get it, but please. Okay.
Don't sit there and say I can't play the same fucking games, right? Gotcha.
Hey, hold on. I think maybe you might be able to resonate with this as well. Okay. This observation of myself, and believe me or not, I'm confident that I can help pretty much anyone. If someone wanted help, I can help them, particularly in the area of my expertise. Okay. Inner peace and meditation. So people refuse to allow me to help them. You ever feel that way, Paul? Right? You're out here offering, Wizard. You're offering, and they refuse to accept the help. Imagine how God feels, right? God's sitting there waiting, wants us to fucking be happy and successful and abundant. God's sitting there waiting for us. Please let me help you.
When you say God, you're talking about Antoine, right?
No.
Oh.
I'm talking about the mystery identified as the Father by Jesus. I mean, my faith is strong. Someone asked the question, and it's a misleading question. Why does your philosophy always lead you to getting everything you want without work? That's not my philosophy. But the philosophy I do support is choose more, do less. Right? You apply.
I like that. I fucking like that.
It's the Zen philosophy. Choose more, do less. You bring in the Pareto's principle, the rule of 80-20, right? Like 80% of results are going to come from the 20% effort. So you focus 100% on the 20% that's getting you the greater value.
I tried to reveal this Peroni's principle that you talk about to Jennifer. I said, I'm going to do little to nothing and I want you to blow me more. And I also remind her this is very Zen. Eastern philosophy. She's big on that.
Well, again, like I mentioned earlier somewhere, if we're truly bringing the message to those that need it, then it's 80%. I claim a lot larger that really need it. So you should be bringing it to those and not limiting it to the 20% to get your max, because that's what shows everybody else that for you, it's about the numbers.
No, okay. Well, please don't distort what I said, because I truly don't care about the numbers. And where my focus is, God controls the results. I control me and only me at this moment. I don't control me in the past. I don't control me in the future. I control me right now. And the results.
The results show that you have 11 watching. 3 of them are right here on panel. That means there's 8 others. Out of those 8 others, I guarantee you there's at least 4 others from Paul's. That means you have 4 people watching now compared to when you had only 800 subscribers, and then went on platforms to gain members. And now you've got 1.36 thousand members and only 4 other people watching. And
to be clear, those 4 other people watching are probably federal agents following up on both of us. So we're really down to 0. No one's watching. Well, God's watching. That's what's most important.
Exactly. God is watching. I just get to be me, truthful, authentic, loving, generous. I am me. And our egos have overcomplicated our life. I mean, if you can stay grounded in you, in me right now, and here, this concept of ascension, spiritual growth, of maturity, all it is developing self-control, right? Impulse control, delayed gratification. You and I have spoken about this quite a bit. Well, not quite a bit, but there's so many studies that show this too in the development of children. That's part of maturity, is overcoming the instincts, because our instincts keep us alive and as a being in this game. All we are is the awareness. And so if I can expand my awareness beyond just me and into what's around me and the greater world, if I can be aware of more and still be a part of that, but only control me, I really think it's simple. I do.
Okay, so if you're only trying to control you, then why are you trying to tell the rest of the world to quit wars and secrets? Why don't you just be truthful and open as much as possible about you, so nobody else can take advantage of you, and you show that to the world, and that's how you get followers. Because then
you forgot wars. And this is where I came up with the next brand that Talcott's going to steal from me and trademark, because I'm going to be too slow on the uptake. Ending war with self, right? We can't end wars that other people choose to start and continue, but we can end war with self, thereby ending war with those in our life and controversy and conflict, thereby being a force for ending wars closest to home, where it matters, where we actually have the control and the influence, right? Charity starts in the home.
Jack, can you merge with that? Can you merge with that concept, ending wars with self?
And that also solves the problem. It gets back a better relationship with women. It gets back the relationship with the children. It gets Margot Davy to get off Jack's nutsack, stop following him around doing whatever she's up to. That's the goal. That's the idea.
I would most certainly stand with you on that one, Jack. And like you said before, you would love to study some scripture with me. I'd love to go over that with you and show you why you would stand on that.
I've addressed all the conflicts within me. This is what I mean. I don't walk around resentful or angry or afraid.
So if that's what you've conquered, isn't that what you want to show other people?
I've been trying to, but this is where those who are in my present time, this life right now, I'm not being represented well. I mean,
I understand that, Jack.
You know the words you've said about me. You've heard the words Paul and Moose and everyone else has said about me. So
you also should know, before we go any further, that when they make a claim that a man is dangerous to society, did you know that's a false statement? Under the eminent domain, a natural creature could only be a danger to society if it was outside of that society. Again, 7 USC 136 claims that animal includes man. That's one of the ultimate protections. So how could you be a danger to society if they're supposed to be protecting animals? It's fucking stupidity, Jack. And I would ride that train with you all day long.
I appreciate it. I'd love to have it addressed. I've been saying for 5 years their claims against me are unmerited.
Would that seem like a class action suit? Would that seem like a class action suit that would include every living man on this land?
You know, yes. I tried approaching several different attorneys. I was trying to find one who had the education, but maybe the heart willing to try taking on some bigger things. Because I think there are, well, maybe timeliness is obviously an issue now within the traditional courts, but there was opportunity for precedent to be made as far as...
There always is, Jack.
Well, there's only opportunity for precedent if there is an opportunity for presentation, and I was denied an opportunity to present myself. So I got people from the past who think I'm a danger, think I'm crazy and worthless, and they haven't spoken to me.
I don't, Jack.
I believe that, and I trust. Here's where I'm at, man. Hey, you said something. Can I change? I want to change the subject to God, right? God, this was my thought earlier today. I'm driving down the road and I'm looking at the sky, the distant clouds. You know, I'm picturing myself over on the mountain and how small I am. See, comparatively, how small I am to the mountain, to the tree, to nature. I'm like a speck here on earth. I'm so insignificant. So that was my thought. God is everything. I am no thing. I am nothing. That was my first thought. I am nothing. God is everything. And then I thought that through for the truth. I am no thing. You are no thing. You're not the body. You're not the past. You're not the reputation. You are the awareness of the experience.
Yeah, what Paul says is the conscious experience. And that goes with, oh, no man, anything, but to love one another. So that's to put down the materialistic things and do the verbal things. Actions speak louder than words. Fuck off with the material shit. You can have it all.
Amen. That takes convincing, though, because we live in a world where there's all sorts of reasons. I can't give this up. I can't give that up. I can't give this up.
I don't have it to give up. What I do have is
See, now when this is the other side, so don't forget it. When I come here and call you an insane person, what I'm saying is that the way you communicate based on the thoughts and feelings you choose creates an experience for others that you're an insane person. I don't think you're beyond redeemability, or I wouldn't be here. But when you have a thought like that, that's what makes me motivated to continue working with you. When you have the awareness that we are all that we have to make a choice with, but at the end of the day, we are not the center of this universe. Far from it. So again, that's a very non-egoic, non-narcissistic, non-divisive thought. And that's the space of consciousness that we have to be in, to not be reactive, not be controlling, not throw me out when I challenge you, to get to a place where we could create reconciliation. That is a space of consciousness where your women and children will be able to relate with you, because this is our problem in everything we do. We're the center of the universe. We have our opinion. No one else's opinion matters. We can be in our imagination. Get the fuck out of yours. That shit's not going to work. But that, what you just said, that occurred to you today, that is the journey too that everyone has, of the understanding of I am that I am and oneself, is that experience that you just talked about. So that's progress, and I'm not hopeful. I never am hopeful. Hope is as hollow as fear, but I have faith that by coming here and showing you love and care and unwavering truth, and not enabling where I see weakness, that you will become better, and we will all become better, and we will do better for ourselves and each other. And I've been seeing some of that happening. In between, of course, the necessary chaos to keep everybody confused and tuning into the train wreck.
I'm sure people are, man. They're confused and addictive. They don't want to miss the drama. But you know what? This has been a growing experience. I think we've all been growing. We are all growing. This has been a wonderful adventure. I got to bring you up. I got a surprise, though, this morning, too. Someone from my past reached out. And I don't want to read too much into it, but...
Who was it, Jack?
Teresa, the woman. She's the one who inspired me to start improving. So... she was pretty bitter and angry at me the last few times we've spoke, though. So I'm not.
What was her energy this time?
Just, I don't know can't think of the right word. Oh, fascinating. I awoke this morning to find she'd sent me a message on Thursday, and it was just basic, like, how you doing? And I responded today, and now I see she has unsent the message. So, this life, man, it's very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that could just be kind of verification that, again, the same theme we see. Most of these people who come in and out of your life care about you, and they want to find a way to make it work. But either they're not equipped, you're equipped, or both, right? And that's common with everybody.
I honestly think they're not equipped. They're afraid. Well, because they're afraid of the truth. They're afraid of what they're going to learn, because they know me. I am smart, and if you try and argue with me, the truth is going to come out. That the people from my past, I think that's why they avoid me, because they know that they're going to find out they were wrong.
Now, I'm not having that experience, but my new thing now is, do you want to hear about the experience I have with you or not? Because I'm not even going to talk about it and get you triggered unless you want to be open to that and work on that.
Our experience, Paul, our experience together, as I've said, has been enlightening and refining and challenging all together. But it's also been pretty damn fun and frustrating. So,
oh yeah, enlightening experiences usually follow frustrating and tragically comedic circumstances, it would seem.
God's got a sense of humor.
You could look at it that way. But yeah, I don't have any aversion to you, and I suspect most people are me, including you. There's just miscommunication. There's no aversion to you and the idea of truth coming out. It's more the idea that we can't get to some truth sometimes because there's something in the way. And that's that relationship, right? We can't truly relate deeply because there's a truth there I perceive you're missing. And it's not a judgment, right? It's just that's what is apprehended in the experience.
Paul, the only thing that keeps us divided, that keeps the truth from uniting us, is our egos. And what's
how does that apply to you?
I've been here. I've
if
said
you could explain to me, you're like always on it with the information. But then when I go, okay, now tell me how this applies to you, you're like, what? And I'm like, that's where the work is done. Because I can tell you every step of the way where what you say applies to me and how I've had to look at it. And then I go, I hope that you do what you're saying with yourself because I perceive that that's what's happening. You're giving me all your own remedies and answers and not taking them a lot of times. It's the old practice what you preach routine, right?
That might be happening with you as well, Paul.
It's possible. I leave it open. I'm not.
Okay. So here, to tie it back in together, life happens for us, right? And I've said this before. I think my life happened for me the way that I did. So I didn't really have a choice. I mean, I did, but I didn't have a choice. The circumstances of my life brought me opportunities to detach, to practice that detachment, to actually experience the loss of everyone and everything so that I could discover me. And so the ego, as I said, I've been through this time of separation from relationships. The opportunities and the inspirations have led me to study the ego. So I studied me. I studied thoughts. I studied emotions, both within me and listened to the teachings and what others had learned. And Paul, I don't know how it's going to happen in the future, but I trust you and I, we're part of the same project. And the project that I feel we're a part of is waking this fucking species up from the disease of, the disease of their minds.
Right. The human condition
Yes.
And the failings written within it would seem. But the only way that we do that is showing the insidious and subtle nature of what you keep speaking about, you call the ego, right? Because it's absolutely true, but it's so subtle in the beingness that it's almost impossible to perceive when observing the self, unless you really have a process of being insightful and reflective and some kind of guideline, it would seem. There has to be some standard or guideline to hold to keep that thing in check. So, and that's, again, I don't go to the real world because I'm a materialist, the quote unquote real world, which is not so real according to what is shown, on a scientific level, as much as you want to trust the science or not. I don't doubt it, but I go to the results in the realm of manifestation to keep me in check, right? What is my inner space reporting to me? What are my interpersonal relationships reporting to me? What is my influence in changing life for the better reporting to me? What is my financial security reporting to me through the value that I bring in and outside myself, right? I don't do that to create an egoic experience to down talk others. I do it to keep me grounded on the ground and have something to check my ego. Ego, again, like we spoke about, is when you make claims and can't back it up. Confidence is when you have the results to move forward with an energy, knowing what you can do and not do. Right? So this is what I understand for me, and I try to reveal that to others. And I think Antoine, in his own way, is trying to do the same thing. We may not align. I'd say I probably align more with you than I do with Antoine, funny enough, because there's a there's almost with you what I perceive as too much grounding in the spiritual metaphysical realm, where your whole life is caught up in analyzing the otherworldly. And I relate to that because that was most of my life. Now we have to bring it back down to the ground and generate results for ourselves and each other. And that's going to require a certain action space and a sense of confidence behind it, and replicating, duplicating the results.
Hey, Paul, you are absolutely right. As
I usually am, Talcott. It's what I do.
Come on.
I'd rather be right than president.
Yeah. In the observation of me, though, too, part of what you described, it's been intentional, dude. Because of the patterns that I was experiencing, I didn't know what the fuck was going on, and so
it's a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism,
right? It was perfectly aligned so that I focused only on God, right? And so you're right. I detached from the material.
It's not that this is where I've said to you before. This is where I'm careful with the words for a reason. Detachment is great. Depersonalization will lead to being perceived as insane. When you lose sight of who and what you are and what's real or not, right? What's grounded in reality.
Paul, that segue this topic, because depersonalization, that's what our egos do. Our egos treat us and each other like things, and that's what my friends and family did. They depersonalized me, dude,
because you started to see yourself as a thing.
No,
right?
I started seeing myself as a person, as an actual
but we're back to person. We're back to person. This is the fuckery with words. Person is a mask and an actor, right? I know you're not meaning to say it that way. You're trying to say a human. But I'm saying while you're seeing yourself maybe as more humanized, you're actually depersonalized, and you've now start to see yourself as an entity, in which case you put yourself above and beyond these people and they can't relate to you. And I've seen some of that. That's where the whole idea of Dark Talcott rising and the whole character is Talcott perceives himself as an entity. And then I start to play off that and go, I'm the god of all media. I'm doing you, right?
Yeah, the person before the man is same as the cart before the horse. It's all backwards. You got to be the man, and that way they can't take that personalization away because you're the creator of that person.
But that's what starts to happen when we root ourselves in the metaphysical world and don't stay grounded. We start to perceive our connection with God as we are God. We start to view ourselves as a partial entity, and we lose touch with other people in reality as it's perceived on the ground.
We've got to come back, because I know some of this narrative is about me. I didn't detach. When I show up, people, they just fucking react. And it's like I'd show up and it was just fear and rage, and unprovoked, unfucking explained, and unhealthy. So for my safety, for their safety, I tried staying away without a witness. So I've been trying.
They think you're lying. They think you're lying. They think you're lying. I don't believe that.
Right. They think I'm lying, and they chose to create bullshit narratives about me and then refuse to allow opportunities to talk. So I don't know. This is the life I'm living. But
here's the thing. Because I believe, this is just my whatever, if you take value out of it, because I believe that you've not found the truest part of yourself. Maybe there's a truer part that you stuck in, that you see as metaphysical, but because you've not communicated that in the world, these people's bullshit narratives are going to be perceived as more accurate than the narrative you put forth. So again, the way out of the bullshit narrative is going to be some change of your perspective that aligns with your words and actions and communications that allows them to perceive you as something different than what they've created in their mind.
Paul, if they looked at modern day Jack, if they looked at any bit of evidence, if they were honest, they would see that the version of me they imagined never fucking existed. Okay. I've harmed nobody. I shouldn't be treated as a danger. But here, back to what you were saying about the balance. I did, by my circumstances, I allowed the world and me to drift apart, but I'm coming back, the pendulum. My purpose is to return to society with the right words, the words that are received and welcomed. And I don't know how, Paul.
That's why I'm here, Jack Talcott. I've been telling you from the damn beginning, stop coming to me with this. This ain't ego about who's going to teach who. I believe maybe there's something I'm learning along this path of you. I think there's probably things, if nothing else, I'm reminded of. Maybe I'm doing the same with you and all of us. We're all reminding ourselves of something we've forgotten about, right? So this is what I believe is like this should be in the cave with Talcott and Paulie Boy, because we're essentially in the cave on the periphery of town, and we're going back and forth, and we're like, how do we take this consciousness and awareness back to town and these people and have an integration rather than another separation event, right? So that's what this has been for me. My perspective I've brought to this is I'm helping to facilitate a reformation of Talcott and this whole community to bring back ourself, a truer form of ourself, with the understanding and the language we need to present honor ably and be honored as the men we know we need to be, right? So again, I will be here. I'll show up for myself and others. You are one of the others. If you're seeking the other, I believe that I have a pretty good handle on that, whatever that is, right? They call it the Tao, the way to the way. There's a lot of terms for it, but you have to believe that my perception is maybe not complete truth, but true enough to trust and work in trust with, right? As you say, it's very Zen. I know I'm a trailer gorilla from the East Coast and I'm supposed to have no credibility, but when you make yourself a student of life and study consciousness and awareness for decades, this is what happens. And it's fearful and confusing to everyone, including my father. But there is a way to the way here. It's worked for me and others. And if you embody it, it will work for you and others as well.
Here's the thing, though, Paul. I know from my experience and, well, what I've experienced, this inner peace, the way of the way, I'm not sure that I should be learning from you on that. You've got the words.
That's fine.
Got the words for it, but
I accept that. Let's also remember that God works in mysterious ways, and oftentimes you get the truth in the last place that you're going to look. So, a wise man can learn from everyone, especially a fool. The difference between me and most on here, I come on and willingly play a fool. Most are unwittingly playing a fool.
Exactly.
So just keep that in mind. And I believe half of what you see and none of what you hear, right? And I've shown and told.
Hey, amen. There's amazing things. We are all learning together, but the way of flow and mental freedom, spiritual freedom, those are the keys. As more people start waking up to mental freedom, recognizing, okay, this is my life. Here's where I am. I'm going to take control of me from now on. As people start doing that, even if it's clumsy, even if, actually, I think that's what's happening to varying degrees all around the world right now. We're living at a pretty cool time. We really are. And we don't want to miss it. We want to enjoy it. Because the more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm going to this here. I'm trying to figure out. Wizard, you're more the Bible guy than me, but the ideas of love, where did it go? I thought I did the other one.
Says he's not going to learn about love and peace from me, goes to the Wizard for commentary.
No, I was going to him because I was trying to prepare with scripture. But we covered that First Corinthians this morning and the idea of love. Man, love really, I know how it sounds, especially to men, the masculinity. Oh no, I'm above love. I don't need that shit. That's nonsense. We all need love. And we all are love. We are love in form. It's through the energies of love and time, the processes of cause and effect. We are the effect of the past, and I can't wait to see what we cause for the future. Because Paul, we're coming up on a fucking year. I mean, it's already been like 7 months I've known you, and I still feel like I'm just getting started.
Right. Yeah, there's been I'd say slow progress up to now, but I also always leave the opportunity for quick growth spurts, right? With everything and everybody, including myself. So I don't live by, hey, we've been 7 months and this should have happened, that should have happened. No, I show up every day for myself and others, and Talcott's one of them. And I show up with love and care, and I also show up with a sword coming from my mouth, much like the Christ of being. Care in my heart, sword from my mouth. And it works, it seems, if you let it. So, yeah, just this conversation today, I think, was a good conversation. I think we should continue it here. I think we should bring more people up if they're willing. But yeah, that's what we're doing. Having faith, sticking to the truth, speaking it as we see it, updating the program as we go along if we're shown to be incorrect. And that's the process of humility, getting better and better over time in the eyes of the creator and creation and in our own conscience, and putting the other shit to the side. Do we want to be better and get better results? Or do we want to fight to see who's right and ignore results? Right? Like, again, I'd rather be right than president. I'd also rather make it right with myself and others than just be right. If I'm right and everyone else is wrong, I'm fucked. Right? So if I'm right, great. If everyone else is wrong, great. Well, then I have to find a way to make it right. Another position of leadership.
Amen. Hey, I do want to continue this, but let's do it another time. You've already done a show today, right?
Yeah, I'm coming up on 4 hours.
Yeah, dude. Let's continue this another day. I appreciate and respect. Thank you for.
Do you want to hop over to mine, Talcott, or are you trying to get the hell out of here?
I think I will, but I'm going to take just a moment. I got food waiting for me. I want to eat something and use the restroom too.
Fair enough. All right, let me get out of your hair then.
Yeah, I'm going to scoot real quick too. Yeah, and I'm going to scoot real quick too. And of course, I just want to let you know, I came up to, again, step up to my part in the plate and let you know I do agree that I've been disrespecting you, but the same you've been doing to me. And I think we both need to step back and maybe start treating each other like we treat Paul, maybe. Huh?
We can all improve, and I think we all are improving, especially with the communication and the awareness. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, brother. And in final words, like I said earlier, I don't believe you're a dangerous man to society. That's an impossibility, according to me. In true fact, to me, it is a society that is a danger to man, for that is proof that they've been indoctrinated. I also don't believe your wife. I also don't believe that your son isn't disillusioned by all of this. I know that to be a fact. Many people can be disillusioned by things that they too have been indoctrinated in. So I'm on your side in that, Jack. But at the same time, I don't always believe what you're saying either. And that's a problem. All right.
Respect. We'll get there. I am going to selfishly offer some of my own final words. Paul, anything before I toss you to the back?
No, throw me the fuck out of here. We love that. We've gotten to love that. So throw me the fuck out of here.
Anyway, enough of that nonsense. Thank you, Paul Enslaved. Thank you, Wizard, Word Wizard. Hey, the topic, for the selfish closing, I mean, this is part of my life. This will be part of the documentary of the future, I guess, should anyone want to go back and watch. But there's an interesting story, an interesting perspective of my story coming forth that I've been trying to figure out. Is there relevance? And here, in your own life, you see things and see signs, patterns, but it's up to you. Does it mean anything? Here I am. Tomorrow is Father's Day. I live in Spokane, where the idea of celebrating fathers or recognition of a father happened out of Spokane some time ago. So I'm in the birthplace of Father's Day. I used to be admired, even though I was an alcoholic. People used to share their admiration with me as a father, so I know I experienced that part of my life for a while. And I know I was not a very good father. I was a confused young man who was trying to figure it out. I made some mistakes. But the idea of my son reuniting in my life, I've thought Father's Day for several years now, but it could be part of the story. If my son returns into the life where I'm living today, same house, same car, pretty much same life, just a different perspective. If my son comes back, he sees the same man in the same home who he witnessed me in hell. I lived in a state of hell because God was not in my life. Love was absent from my thoughts. And I lived in constant fear, anxiety, depression. I was just hateful and angry, and I kept all of that buried deep inside. You know? So if my son returns back to my life, he becomes literally the perfect witness to witness a transformation. I claim I've experienced a transformation, weight loss, mental state, emotional capacity. I claim to have experienced a transformation. So he would, in my mind, be the most logical witness if one was to come forth. And if a witness comes forth for me, what can happen when a man goes from not having God in his life to having God in his life, right? Material possessions, the results, that stuff is so far not something to point to, but my purpose is clear. Brothers and sisters, we are all children of the divine, and the divine is nature. It is the universe. It is the complex system of sun and stars and water and chemicals and energies. And it's this complex system of cause and effect that reveals time for us to experience in these forms. So my purpose is to, I've had time off from work and relationships, opportunity to kind of gather and collect knowledge that's being freely shared from the collective right now. And that's all I am. I'm a gatherer of information. I document and I can present evidence. I analyze the facts, and I'm a narrator. I'm a storyteller. That's what our God is. Our God is the author of creation, and we are the narrators, the witnesses, the creators of our stories. And this first point of creation, it's in the mind. In the mind. You tell yourself you can't, you won't. Tell yourself you can, you might see it happen. So I think I said what I wanted to say. Oh, should this be real? Should this be the story that God wants to reveal? I think that'd be pretty cool. Father and son together. Should my son see purpose in that direction of working with me? Father and son working together to bring the mind and hearts of God's children, you, God's children, all the people you know, all the people on the news, everyone, bringing God's children conceptually back to God, bringing the concept of God back into the minds and hearts of God's children. I don't know. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing to experience. That, and of course, ending wars and slavery. But anyway, thank you, brothers and sisters. And for those who are interested, shortly after this, I'm assuming it'll still be running. I'll be over on Proper Instruction Motivates People with Paul Unslaved. And thank you again, brothers and sisters. Choose love. God bless. Peace for everyone.